right now I just see a lot of what new professionals are facing. Our careers are multifaceted now.
I think the landscape for professionalism with clothing is changing, and I love that. I honestly, if I was interviewing for a job and they said, oh, you have to take out like your little nose stud, I would decline the job.
Yeah. Hi there, it's Cameron Vakilian with Inspire, the podcast where we discuss what makes a successful career and why. We have a whole new season, and I'm so excited that our first guest is Hannah Bowen, Content Marketing Specialist for Career Success at the University of Utah. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So tell us more about yourself and your role with Career Success.
Yeah. So my name's Hannah. I am the Content Marketing Specialist and Social Media Manager at Career Success. My role is very broad, and we do a lot of stuff on our marketing and events team, but it's so much fun because every day is a little bit different. I mainly work with the business school on their marketing efforts, and I run our business career fairs that we offer throughout the semester. I also help out with our central career fairs with the rest of the team. I manage our social medias, like I mentioned, and with that, we have a really big intern team at Career Success, anywhere from about 20 to 40 interns, depending on the semester. And I manage about 10 of them that help with social media, marketing, graphic design, our podcast, our career closet, and a few other things, but it's so much fun. I love working with them and seeing their creativity on projects, and they inspire me every day.
Yes. And tell us more about your podcast and the Hey You podcast at the university.
I love the Hey You podcast. It's so much fun. It's a University of Utah podcast that is made by students for students through our department, Career Success. So it's everything career related. We'll have some episodes that we feature a career coach like yourself, or we'll have episodes that feature a business owner or somebody who works in the financial industry, or someone who is a journalist, or someone who's, had like maybe a big career shift. So lots of different fun things and topics that we go over, but the students really do the bulk of the work on that. So they're doing outreach, they're doing editing, they're hosting, they're coming up with content and questions, and then I just kind of help, make sure everything's super streamlined and give final approval on stuff, but it's so much fun.
Yes, that's why I was so excited to have you on, because we've worked together obviously a lot, but just the idea of career development and the students that we've worked with and some of the experience that we've had together. We actually may even teach a class together in the fall of 2025, content creation. Spoiler alert. It's not official yet or anything. It's a possibility. There's a process to all of this, but so excited to have you on. And so, I'm going to dive right into questions for you.
Perfect.
My first question for you is, what do you think are some of the unique issues facing today's generation of new professionals?
That question, it literally, I think there's so many things that people have to worry about today. Like it could be, if you were in high school during the pandemic, or if you started college, or if it's AI or technology advancements, like there's so many things. And I think one of the things for me that I feel like I've noticed a lot in working with a lot of our University of Utah students and our intern team and everything, there isn't like clear set career paths as much anymore. Because like, for example, my parents, you go to the same job for 40 years, you retire, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And that's like not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And it's stressful. And like for me, for example, like I did my master's degree in finance, but my undergrad was in marketing. And I worked in finance for a little bit, and it wasn't for me. It's great for so many people, but I just was not feeling fulfilled. Switched back to marketing, but it's like, I had marketing experience, but you kind of start a little bit from ground zero. And so we don't have like these clear cut roles, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And I think especially the students that I've talked to and new professionals I've talked to, the idea of being in one job, one career for like the entirety is so terrifying to students, right?
Yeah.
Like I think of it as, of course our parents, that was what was, we were taught. We were said you get a job, you retire, you get benefits.
Yeah. You earn your benefits because you have to work a certain amount of time. That's not a thing anymore.
It's not.
Like, it's like, 90 days, your retirement kicks in, your health insurance, and it's like you used to have to, we have like a pension to work towards or whatever. And it's like those systems aren't in place. And so the freedom and flexibility is amazing, but also scary. Yeah.
And I mean, sure, there absolutely are careers and jobs out there where, you might work 10, 15,
Yeah,
and
totally.
the entire until retirement. Sure, you know, that they exist, and I've been in my career for over 10 years now. Right now, I just see a lot of what new professionals are facing are careers are multifaceted now.
It's insane.
I mean, it's incredible. I talk to students who are doing like 3 things, like gigs on the side and, you know, also a full-time job. And so that's why it can be kind of scary, but also you're right, flexible. And there's a lot of opportunity there too.
And it just like, it opens the world up, but that's what the scary part is, because like I see so many students and they have these incredible skill sets in so many different areas, but then it's almost like information overload and you don't know what to pick. And that's kind of what I was facing when I was like getting out of college and grad school, because in undergrad I did like marketing and communication studies and then finance for my master's. And it was just like, oh, I know all these things, but I'm like jack of all trades, master of none. So I don't know what to do.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. But it can be a blessing. I mean, when you have multiple skills and you're good at a lot of different things, you know, it can serve you well in your career, but there's also a lot of unique challenges with that.
And that's why with like the career coaches and like what you guys are doing, I think it's incredible, because someone who's maybe like a little bit more removed and can kind of see the bigger scheme of things, they can say, hey, like, this is what you're passionate about and you have this skill set, maybe try this route. And I think it's great now that this is happening, because I do feel like we have a lot more grace that we give people when it's like, you didn't like that, and that's okay. You don't have to stay in that career for 30 years. And I think, again, blessing and a curse, but overall, I do think it can be a really good thing.
Yeah. And another, I think, unique challenge to that, right, is the finances.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
So many of my students, you know, are fearful about finances.
Absolutely.
Like, will I have a job that can pay the bills? I mean, inflation has just skyrocketed and, you know, it's tough nowadays.
Scary.
So having multiple careers or multiple jobs, like, you know, you have to figure out how you're going to balance, you know, and bring in the money that you need to sustain your life. But fortunately, you know, through the resources we have with coaching and so many different opportunities and internships, you know, eventually you get there. You develop a professional identity.
Absolutely.
It comes. And so that's why I love the work that we do.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, wonderful. So my next question for you.
Yes.
As a fellow fashion enthusiast, I'd love to hear your thoughts on professional work attire and the role it plays in career success.
Yes, I might be alone in my train of thought for this, but I was raised by America's Next Top Model, Project Runway. Like, I love those shows. It was so fun. I had a mom and sisters who were like so into clothes. We always like we'd go shopping, come home, we'd make our dad sit on the couch and we'd do a fashion show for him. He loved it. And so I just have always loved expressing myself through clothing. And one thing that I think is that we're definitely getting away from that traditional corporate wear in a lot of jobs and industries. Obviously, there's still some places where you have to be, you know, business professional, suit and tie, you know, skirt to the knees, pantyhose, which I get that. However, I do think the landscape for professionalism with clothing is changing, and I love that. Yes. And that's a conversation I want to continue to evolve and change, because I don't think that clothing should limit you professionally, and I think it should be a way for you to promote yourself and express who you are. And that's why I love jobs that tend to be like a little bit more flexible, and not that you're pushing the boundaries, but you can kind of do something that's a little bit out of the norm. So it's like, I don't have to wear, you know, a brown and tan pantsuit. Like I can be fun and expressive and be me, and people can know me for me, and I don't have to have like a totally different personality outside of work.
You're so right in that. I think we get all of these like voices telling us, you know, this is how professional attire should look.
Yes.
When at the end of the day, if you're not feeling comfortable in your skin, if you're not feeling like you, it's not going to show.
Yes.
You're not going to be your professional self in
Absolutely.
that sense. I think that's why we're seeing more and more of, you know, be yourself. If you are somebody that's more colorful, like you and I both, you know how we both are.
Yes.
And wear, you know, something a little bit more flashy or with character or style, or maybe you're not, maybe you're a total just minimalist and you love to just bring that. Or I think especially what I love nowadays is, you know, this gender fluidity, right? Like we don't need to be thinking of, men in these suits and women in these dresses or whatever, it might be, or pantsuit or whatever it might be. Like, I think it is so nice that we can wear things that just are who we are.
Yes.
And if you don't identify with one gender or another,
it's fine.
Or if you lean more towards one or the other, great, bring that.
Yeah.
And the place that you work, if they don't appreciate that, that's not the place you should be working.
Like, we had a career fair and a student came up to me, we were at check-in, and she was like, I really like your nose ring. And she goes, have you ever had any jobs where they've told you can't wear it? And I was kind of like taken aback because I'd never been asked something like that. And I was like, I honestly, if I was interviewing for a job and they said, oh, you have to take out like your little nose stud, I would decline the job.
Yeah.
And I know that like that's not for everyone and maybe you're willing to change. But for me personally, like, if I had a job, I have like 15 tattoos. I'm in a sweater right now. But if I had a job that said like, oh, those all have to be covered, you can't have visible piercings, would not be for me.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm the exact same way with clothing. And obviously, time and place, like, you're not going to show up, to most jobs in sweatpants and like a crop top.
Yeah.
But if you love color, or if you're a minimalist girly, or if you like love to be really funky and you dress like your dream Pinterest board, like, I'm all for it. I love that, especially like here in the States, it's such a melting pot of cultures, and especially even here at the U, like, we have so many incredible international students that come. We have students from all over the place. There are so many like cultural things that people will wear, or things that they bring in that maybe can inspire someone else, and I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when I was younger, not that I was closed-minded, but I was like, oh, there's like a certain way you do things and that's how it goes. And now that I've, kind of like professionally developed and gone through school and everything, I think it's so much fun to just see what people like and don't judge others. Like, if somebody, I used to be like this, like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so basic, I can't. But now I'm like, it's basic for a reason, because the basic girlies look so cute.
Yeah.
I'm like, in your little minimalist outfit, you are killing it,
So cute.
And it's like, also the maximalist girls who are putting on everything in their closet, I'm like, get after it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just let everyone be authentically themselves.
Yes, because it tells a story about who you are. And I've worked with some interns and students who are in professional settings where they wear something that is sentimental to them, but it still is professional.
Yes.
It creates a story, and it really helps to get to know a person in the workforce. So totally
I have
agree.
like, there's a, not influencer, she owns a clothing brand. I love her on Instagram, and she has like really funky niche pieces. And every time I've worn one of those and I've been either at a professional work event or out or networking or whatever the case is, somebody will always comment, and then it just starts like a talking point, and then I can bring up things that I do and I'm like, oh, I'm involved with this at work and maybe you'd be a good fit to like collaborate with. And not saying that everything has to be an opportunity, but it just can help you. If you're confident in what you're wearing and you're being you, people are going to notice that.
Yeah. So then the other part to that question, you work with the Career Closet at U Career Success. Tell us more about that.
The Career Closet is hands down one of, like, I think my most favorite things I've ever worked on in my entire life. When I started with U Career Success, not that it wasn't run or managed, but nobody really had ownership of it. And I was like, I love thrifting. I love clothes. Like, can I take this over? And I work with such a supportive team. They're fantastic. And they were like, absolutely, like, do your thing. So we were able to get it moved over. We have a huge space for it. But essentially, the Career Closet allows any student that's at the U to come in. They can rent out professional clothing for free for any event that they need. So if it's a networking lunch or a scholarship meeting or an interview or a career fair or everything in between, we've got stuff for them. And the closet is fully donation based. So we get a lot of staff and faculty. We get a lot of alumni, current students, a lot of community donors, our employer partners that we work with. And it's absolutely incredible. The amount of items that we have, we've got 2 huge dressing rooms. And it just every single day is one of the reasons that I love my job, because it is such an incredible resource for students.
Oh, I love it. I mean, the whole idea of this is so great for students, and just that, it's donation based.
Yes.
It's great
incredible.
that it's community oriented like that. What would you say is the most needed items of clothing to donate?
Yeah, so we recently just did a big clean out and kind of organize. I like to try and keep styles really current because I want every student that comes through our doors to feel like they've found something that they can be authentic in. And one thing that we're lacking in is definitely men's shoes. We get a lot of alumni that will donate a lot, but it tends to be like a little bit dated or a little older, which is still fantastic and still great, but like newer and more styles. In men's shoes, we're always in need of suits, always in need of women's dresses because those tend to go really well. And a lot of times those can easily be styled over pants, or you can belt it or make it super fun. So yeah, there's lots of options. I have, since we've, expanded more to all of campus, I've tried to kind of take in more things that are a little bit more casual. So any student going to any interview. So if you have an interview and you're like, I don't need business professional clothing, we have a few items that you can kind of look through and say, oh, that'll be a great fit if you're, in a different industry that doesn't require that.
Yeah, I love it because, sometimes students just need like a blazer, or they need something that just can add to what they have, but they just don't feel like they're quite there yet.
And it's expensive, if you're a sophomore in college interviewing for internships, you don't want to go buy a full suit or new shoes or a dress. And so this resource is so great because you can come in, check stuff out. We usually do a week and then you can extend it if you need, but it is so fun to go in there if students are in there. I love to help them like pull things and find fun stuff. And it's just the success stories we hear about it is really what gets me every day.
Yeah. And you were just on a news station recently talking about this. Which one was that again?
We did a little segment on Good Things Utah on ABC4. And it was so much fun because all of the hosts, like, when you go on, I had never done like live news before. And so when you go on, they like mic you up. It's all like very fast. And it was a quick little short segment. And all of the hosts after the fact, they were like, what can we donate? Like, how can we get more involved? And we have had an astronomical amount of community donations since. And we've been pushing it out in like so many avenues. And so it has been incredible to watch that.
Oh, I love it. In fact, now that you say you need men's shoes, I'm like, I have lots of shoes.
I will take them.
I love shoes.
Yes.
So, yes, I love that. Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, so my last question for you, as a marketing professional, what advice would you give to students and new professionals on effectively marketing themselves to stand out and advance their careers?
Great question. I sometimes still feel like I'm a new professional, even though I've been working for quite some time now. But one thing I think I would love to really just get into my younger self's head is listen to the people who are like a little bit more experienced than you. Because sometimes when you're 22 and you're fresh out of college, you got your first job, I feel like I had a lot of people who, were like closer to my parents' age and older, and they'd give me all this advice. And I'm like, well, I don't really care. And then I'd have people that were, maybe a couple years older than me or like a little bit more developed into their career. And I wish I would have listened to those people because they'd be like, it's going to go by so quickly. And you're not going to know it hit you. And it's like, you're going to feel like you're just constantly like moving. And that's exactly how I felt post-grad. I was like, what is going on? I don't feel grounded. Like, what's happening? And so I think just being yourself, showing up authentically every single day and making sure that you feel confident, because if you're confident, everyone else is going to notice that and you're going to soar. Like, I feel like the last 2-3 years is when I finally kind of got into my rhythm of like, I know who I am, like I'm comfortable with myself, I'm confident. And I feel like that's when I started to flourish the most.
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
Confidence is key.
Yeah.
And, something I talk a lot about in this podcast and in the Inspire model is this idea of passion. Mm-hmm. When your passion shows, that is your ultimate marketing strategy.
Absolutely.
It shines, and that's why it's so important to apply for things that you love and that you use college or education as your avenue to find that.
Yes.
You develop interests, you get passion, and if you take that passion to heart and apply it to your interviews and the conversations you're having in networking, it flourishes.
Yes.
As you say. It is the thing that will lead to success.
Exactly.
It's the most effective marketing.
Yes. Yeah, it's like you can read like all the books they've written, you can read everything on, like you can go crazy on research, but the thing that's going to help you the most is being yourself.
Yeah. And passion doesn't mean you have to be this extroverted,
no, absolutely not.
Like out there person.
No.
You can absolutely be, who you are if you're more reserved, introverted. Passion shows in that too.
Of course.
If you're just confident about something that you love, it will really read.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Hannah. It is so great to have you here in the studio. And yeah, it's just a joy to work with you. And I'm excited to see how this year unfolds for us.
Yes, me too.
Awesome. Join us next episode where we will be talking about effective job and internship search strategies. And it will actually be a live event recording where career coaches Giovanna Percantino and Dan Moseson will be joining me, and we will be going through all the different ways that you can find opportunities for jobs and internships. I also want to give a huge shout out to the interns of the Inspire podcast, Chesney Simmons and Lily Martinescu. They are the reason why this podcast is now fully visual, and we are in the studio filming it as video. So thank you to them, and thank you all for listening.